So here you are. It's Monday morning, or at least that's the name of the show. And on this show, we talk about what's happened recently with Tesla in terms of the news and some very interesting news tonight. And then we also get into what's going to happen this coming week. That's what we call it Monday morning with regard to things like economic reports and lots of earnings this week. So we'll talk about those and we'll do a little bit of a peek into the what's happening with the pre-market right now and then and including Tesla and SpaceX as always. So glad to have you here and along for the ride. Let me start with this. I'm pretty sure that I'm breaking another concept. I think that nobody's talking about this. Nobody's figured this out. And I was trying to figure out why Berlin is ramping so much additional production. And I kind of fell across it a week or so ago, and that went out of my head. And then all of a sudden I said, okay, let's do some research. Well, I couldn't figure out. I don't think that just the sales in the EU are enough to remain enough to make these big increases. I mean, they're adding a lot by 50% total, and I don't think that they're going to see sustainable 50% increases in Europe. I could be wrong, but that's what my theory was. So I did a little checking. And what do you know? Berlin is now shipping to Canada, Australia, and sometimes to Taiwan. I think all the Canadian cars and all the Australian cars are now coming from Berlin, and sometimes the Taiwanese requirements. Now, you've probably noticed that all three of those territories are doing very, very well. So I think that's what's going on. And what this does is it takes some of the pressure off of Shanghai, who's completely sold out. And I know that we can't absolutely know that, but I asked Grok and we went and we took a look at the last few quarters, and it looks like Shanghai is either completely sold out or at least their maximum, the numbers that they're hitting, the wholesale numbers that include everything, they're hitting the same number over and over again. They don't seem to be able to get above it. Now, maybe that's because they don't have the sales, but I think it's because they're maxed out. Ron Barron was out today. He says, well, I don't know if it was today, could have been tomorrow. I mean, yesterday. Ron Barron says that he sees Tesla at 2,500 in 2036. That would be fine, although I'm going to be really old in 2036, but my kids will appreciate it. And then he thinks it'll be at 10,000 in 2041. So that would be both those things would be pretty good, I think. Now, there's a lot of people that think it's going to be way better than that, including me. Everyday Andro, everyday's could be everyday Sandro, or it could be everyday's Andro. I'm not sure which. I think it's Sandro. Anyway, driving my Tesla from the Atlantic Ocean to Tierra del Fuego at the dead of winter, he says. I'm proud to announce that on July 16th, I became the first solo person in history to drive the full length of the Americas with an electric vehicle. He drove all the way from the tip of South America to as far as you can drive in Alaska. Says, I'm proud to announce that on July 16th, I became the first. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that. Total duration 747 days. So like 2 years. Countries he visited, 15 different countries. The longest wait time that he had to wait in order to charge was 3 days in Peru. So that was a problem, I guess. His fastest charge was 35 minutes in Chile. The distance driven was 46,961 miles. How many times did he break his windshield? 0. It's better than me. We've already broken ours once. Of course, that is over 6 years. Flat tires, he said none. He didn't even carry a spare. He ran out of range one time in Chile in the Atacama Desert. The total amount of energy consumed, 8,444 kilowatts. What about his average energy consumption? About 198.5 watts per kilometer. So how many bribes did he have to pay along the way? He said he had to pay one bribe and it cost him $100 USD. How many times was he robbed? 0. How many times did he get fines? None. Breakdowns? None. How many dogs did he adopt? About 100. And how many funny police searches? He had 2 funny police searches. I've been searched by the police once at in Taiwan at because they used to land. I don't know if they still do. They used to land in the commercial planes at a military airport. They did a complete search. The Pan American Highway, I didn't like it. Pan American Highway is one of the world's longest highways, almost spanning the full length of North and South America. Before today, no one had yet driven from the tippity top of North America in Tuk into the Darien Gap to the southern tip in South America in an electric vehicle. Unsupported, no other vehicle along for the ride. My Model X Bottega was converted into the ultimate stealth overlanding rig with a full kitchen, running water, Starlink, and 300 watts of solar panels on the hood. That allowed us to roam across some of the most remote places on Earth with confidence. The real challenges, border crossings, cartels, corrupt cops. Yet I embraced it all, he says. Charging, on the other hand, was quite a puzzle sometimes. Being a foreigner and having very little information to go on, I discovered how far along the electric movement is and where the shortcomings lie. And I can say with confidence that Tesla supercharging is the best and most reliable infrastructure out there. He said he wanted to showcase that anyone with a dream can make it happen without needing all the answers. Thank you to all the kind strangers that helped along the way, he says, and countless dogs that adopted us and kept guard at night. And that causes me to want to also say thank you guys for supporting me along the way. I just crossed the $1,000 threshold per month on X. I mentioned the other day that I think I mentioned here, but I mentioned on X that I've passed the, let's just call it well into the six figures now on the combined efforts of the YouTube and the X channels. Couldn't have done it without you guys. It's been great. I've been having a great time. Who wouldn't want this job? So we've got, wait a minute. Okay, so we've got Elon Musk's. This is from Multiplanet 11. Elon Musk was asked if he's happy. This was at the end, a simple question at the end of a long interview. I'm guessing, I think I know which interview that was, though it's never mentioned. The interviewer rather, expected a quick answer, and what followed was the most honest 30 seconds Elon has ever given on camera, and it didn't land where anyone in the room expected, although if it's the same interview I'm thinking about, he admitted to praying before the first launch that included astronauts. He says, I'm not religious, but I prayed. He says, I think I have moments of happiness. Then he stopped, like he was testing the sentence against his actual experience and deciding if it was true. He said that the moments are real, but they're short. A rocket lands successfully, and for about 10 seconds, he feels something akin to happiness. Then his brain immediately moves to what can be improved on the next attempt. A Tesla hits a production milestone, and he feels it for maybe a minute before the next problem appears. He said he doesn't think he's wired for sustained happiness. He's wired for sustained problem solving, and there's always another problem. Happiness requires a moment where nothing needs fixing. His brain never arrives at that moment because he's always scanning for the next thing that's wrong. He compared himself to a bloodhound that can't stop taking a scent. The tracking is the purpose. Finding the thing at the end of the trail doesn't produce satisfaction. It just reveals another trail. The most successful builder alive doesn't experience success the way you might think he would. The wins don't accumulate into a reservoir of happiness. They evaporate instantly and are replaced with the next unsolved problem. The engine that builds everything is the same engine that prevents him from enjoying any of it. This might be the most important thing anybody's ever said about the cost of extraordinary achievement. I don't think it's widespread. I think this is not the cost of extraordinary achievement for very many people. The tool that builds the future is the same tool that makes the present uninhabitable. I'm no expert, but I think Elon's fate is very, very rare. Another sufferer of this kind of situation is Rick Warren, who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life and built the Saddleback Churches. He literally has had to find treatment. He takes a cocktail of pills because his brain is always going and he can't sleep. And even though he's created all these amazing results in his life, it is a huge burden. I do believe that builders tend to think about problem solving a lot. They're analytical, but it isn't that usually this debilitating. Elon certainly said he has learned to endure pain So it might be the combination that explains a lot. This is Randy Kirk, and I want to remind you that now September has been opened over there at Nick Gibbs's options course. And so you want to take advantage. You want to go down below, and I will be posting it at the very, very top. So you go down below and you can click the link. It'll take you to a page, a website that allows you to sign up for the next class. And some of you probably wonder what the cost is. I did mention it to someone who I was talking to the other day. They were also shocked to find out how inexpensive it is. It's really a bargain. All right, we've got these earnings coming up this week. We start with Coca-Cola. This will be on Monday. Um, this is, going to give us a big, big look, a good look at the consumer. And also, how is Coca-Cola doing these days? Then we get to Tuesday, we get General Motors. Obviously, with General Motors, we're going to take another look at the consumer. We're going to look at America's car demand. And it'll be interesting to see how their margins are holding up. Then we get AT&T. The primary issue there is going to be telecom slash wireless subscriber trends, how they're doing on capital allocation. And what about the competition? Wonder if they'll mention SpaceX potentially not potentially, being a big competitor now. Google is going to have their earnings on Wednesday as well. This will be after the close, and obviously they've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, but it'll be the Google Cloud, AI monetization progress. How about YouTube searches, advertising? Anyway, they have a lot of stuff that they'll be covering on their call, and it'll be super interesting to us because basically Google and SpaceX probably are number one and number two in reality in this race to AI because both of them own a big piece of the stack. If you've been listening to the channel over the weekend, if you've been listening to the articles, if you've been reading the book, AI Rising, you know that the stack is critical. SpaceX clearly owns more of the stack than anybody else, but Google is right behind, owns a bunch of it. And today, a lot of people have been adding Meta to the group, suggesting that Meta also is, getting involved a lot in that stack, but the rest, not so much. IBM will come out on Wednesday as well. The primary issue there is the software and infrastructure growth. Because what? Because software is dead, right? IBM just suffered the largest drop in their history. It dropped 25% last week. And anyway, that was pretty wild. Then we have Intel also on whatever day that was. Is that on? That's also Wednesday. So Intel also on Wednesday. And of course, we'll want to know about how they're doing in terms of new foundries. How much faster can they grow because they're already growing at such a rate. And then on the 29th and 30th, the following week, we're going to have Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft. In those 2 days, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and also the PCE. We'll talk about that more next weekend on this show. Be sure to make sure you've hit subscribe, notify, and all that jazz so that you'll be always finding out when this show is going to be on. Okay, what about this week? Not very much economic news this week. On Monday, we get the U.S. leading economic indicators. If you follow me, you know that I think it's become useless, unreliable, not worth very much. And last month it went up 0.1. This month the predictors who predict these things think it'll be up 0.0. So in other words, the leading economic indicators, the future of the country right now economically would be flat. Does anybody think that? Well, anyway, we don't know. Maybe the U.S. leading economic indicators will come out with a plus 0.3 or a plus 0.5, and then it'll be more in line with, I think, what most of us think is going to happen. Now, look at this. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Tuesday and Wednesday, there are no economic reports scheduled. 2 days in a row. That is just wild. All right. Then on Thursday, we get the regular program. The initial jobless claims will be out. And, this is the old guessing game. Last week, there were 208,000. Next week, people think that they might be 212. I don't think anybody knows. I think it's a dartboard. They're just throwing darts. And they go, 212 seems right. I'm going to say once again, I'm always right. It's going to be between 198 and 225. We'll see if I'm right again. The S&P, Flash, U.S. services, Last month was at 51.2. This month they think it'll drop a little bit. So services are dropping a tad, but manufacturing, they think that'll go up a little bit from 53.9 to 54.4. And while I think services will not drop, I even think manufacturing might go up more based on what we've been hearing from the Philadelphia Fed and from their Philadelphia's PMI and also from New York. New home sales will be the last report of the week. That'll also be on Friday. And new home sales last month were at 580,000. They think that's going to tick up a little bit to 600,000. So I don't have any insight into that. As you know, I'm following the housing market like a hawk. It's probably something I know more about, having written 2 books on the subject and had one of the top mortgage lenders as a client, one of the top real estate salesmen in the country as a client, both of them in the 1% club. And so and those were long term. I was 18 years with that mortgage lender and at other mortgage lenders as clients also. And then again, wrote a book about for each one of those 2 guys. Well, you won't find it on my page. Don't go looking for it because it was a ghostwriting. Okay, I wrote it. They helped a ton. All right, so it wasn't like they didn't have any input. But anyway, let's get on to the numbers here. We will start with Tesla, who is up sharply in the over, sharply up 1.43. The last time I looked just a minute ago, it was just up a little tiny bit. Now it's up 0.35%. We have got SpaceX up sharply. What's going on? I don't know. This has all happened in the last few minutes. SpaceX was down a few minutes ago. Now it's up sharply, sitting up 1.68% at 126.07. And then we'll go to the bonds and says that TSMC is accelerating their Arizona factory so they can take advantage of the market right now. That's pretty interesting. All right, the bonds up 1 basis point. That's 4.551. We're back over 4.5 again, sadly. We've got oil up $2 more, $2.16, putting Texas Intermediate at 84.65 and Brent over 90 at $90.74. Then we've got natural gas down 1%, back down all the way down to 289. We've got gold. Here we go. Gold is down $20, under 4,000 again. Okay, this is the run. This is where it's going to happen. We're going to have another big. This is not a prediction. This is my optimism. Well, it's not optimism. If I'm optimistic, if you own gold, I'm saying gold is going to move steadily downward again. Silver down 0.41, sitting at 56. It's going to 40, of course. Not a prediction, a gut feeling. And then, but gold, it is a prediction, 3,500. Okay, copper up 0.06, $6.27, right in the middle of where it's been. The dollar is steady, it says here. Bitcoin is up $251 at 64,749. So I'd call that steady also. And then the pre-market, in terms of the equities, this is about where it's been. So I'm surprised that Tesla and SpaceX were both showing such rapid increases. Maybe there was an announcement about the merger. Anybody seen anything on that? The Dow will be, right now is down 0.05. The S&P is up the opposite, 0.06. And the NASDAQ is up 0.29. But that wouldn't be enough to move both Tesla and SpaceX that much. Okay, that's what we've got for today. I've got a normal day tomorrow, as far as I know, in terms of who's coming on. We'll have Kent Marsh in the morning, followed by my show, and then at night we'll have Larry Goldberg. Earlier today, I did a show this morning where we talked about, what did I talk about? Time just moves along and I forget all this stuff. Anyway, I'll put a card up because I'm sure it was really valuable. It's been great, as always, talking to all of you.